Hi, this is Joelle, your podcast host. Before we begin, I would like to acknowledge that we are recording this podcast on unceded Indigenous lands. Tiohtià:ke, Montreal is recognized as the custodian land of the Kanien'kehá:ka Nation. This serves as a reminder that this history, which is often forgotten or neglected, enabled us to be here. As a white settler, this is especially important for me to recognize the role my ancestors played in colonization. That feminist hopes to create a space for dialogue, exchange, and critical reflection. With that being said, I invite you to think critically about your institutional and personal relation with the land on which you stand.
Look at that feminist. Oh my god, she's so annoying. Yeah, I know, she talks too much.
We can still get lovers if you this one. Keeping the car, it's a legend. When you want to be when you confident, say hi to my independence.
Hello, Dorothy. Hello, Daniela.
Hola, hola. Hi again.
Welcome to another episode of That Feminist.
Hello.
Today, we have a special topic.
Yes.
We're talking about slut shaming,
Oof.
which
That's why my titties are out.
same. I put my sexy top on.
I didn't get the memo, y'all.
Yeah.
You're sexy all the time, baby.
Thank you.
Yeah, I don't know about y'all, but I'm excited for this topic because I have a lot to say about it. I have so much to say.
I have some thoughts.
Yeah. Like, I have a list of things. Like a nice grocery list, you know? Very long. Like, you haven't gone grocery shopping in a long time.
Yes.
Yeah. And I think it's so important that we talk about this subject today because I feel like it's such a topic that we kind of talk about when we're younger, like when we're in high school.
Yeah.
It's, for me personally, like that's where it really affected me. And I feel like today, like, again, my experience, I don't know about you guys, but when you get older, it's something you still see.
Yeah.
But it's a lot different than how high school was. Like, high school is very, like, cutthroat, like, you're a slut, you know? And, like, older, it's, like, it still happens, but it's very much, like, under the rug. But, you know, I still feel judged today, so. And I think it's important to highlight that slut shaming is, like, we have, like, sexual promiscuity, who's, like, one thing, but then there's also just a whole, like, slut shaming in just about clothing and what someone wears or decides to wear.
Yeah.
And again, that kind of dominoes into so many other topics like victim shaming.
Definitely.
And victim blaming and rape culture. And I feel like overall, like as women, I've always felt like my nudity was used as a weapon against me because you can see that like with revenge porn or like again victim blaming, it's like always like my nudity is used against me as a weapon and it's never something that can be just liberated. And I think that for me, you know, as a feminist, that's something that I try to use, which is so controversial these days. I feel like a lot of feminists who say they want, you know, woman's body being liberated is so judged because it's like, oh, you just want your titties out. It's like, no, it's actually deeper than that. It's like being able to feel like I have control over my body.
Definitely. Yeah. Especially for the fact that nudity has been there all the time. Like, especially like in arts, if you see the only issue and difference between the nudity that we used to see before of women and today is that we have the agency that comes with it today. Back then, if you see Picasso or like a bunch of other artists, they portrayed naked women all the time and were celebrated for it. And we're like, they got rich out of it. And that's because they got to, like, we got to see a male gaze of nudity. And that's what it has been celebrated. And we never put a slut shame in it, but it was just like the norm. But today, women decide to show their body and there's no men involved in that sense. Well, we do have some, it's more about the male gaze and stuff like that, but now that it's more of a liberating a step that we do as women, now it's judged. Now it's critiqued. Why are we seeing so many naked women in the media and stuff like that? It's weird.
Yeah. But when we think about it, like, if we really want to get to the root of it, like nudity, it's just point blank, like, it's how we came to the world. Like, that's
Yeah.
if you really want to be like,
Yeah.
sorry to break it to you, that's you didn't come with clothing.
Yeah.
But also, like, this might be a weird topic to say, but like breastfeeding in public for moms,
Oh my God, yes.
for the, like, you know, like, did you never eat when you were a child? Like,
Yeah,
like,
definitely.
what's the issue, you know?
Yeah, no, that enrages me when people
It's
are
so
like,
weird.
oh, that's disgusting. Don't do that.
Yeah, how is that disgusting? Like, did you not eat when
So
you
you
were
Was
a
it
child?
you who watched porn last night and like you were okay with seeing like cum all over her boobies, but like now like she's just breastfeeding her child and it's not
Nah.
okay?
It's not cool. Okay,
There's
got
a
it.
line to be drawn here, y'all. She's feeding a child.
Yeah.
Public. It's so weird.
Or like, I don't know if this has ever I've always had big boobs, and I was hypersexualized when I was a kid, since I was like 11. I remember being catcalled when I was 11. I was wearing some shorts. I was in New York. I was wearing some shorts and like a tank top, and I obviously had bigger breasts than like normal 11-year-olds.
Yeah.
And I got catcalled like 10 or 11 times, and it was my first time, and it was weird. Like, and then my mom got tired of it. It was like, she's 11, and men would be like, holy shit, like, she's 11.
Yeah.
Like, and it's always an aspect that has made me feel a little uncomfortable about my body.
Definitely.
Not really anymore, but when I was growing up, it was definitely something that was like, you're such a slut, like, you're wearing that. And I'm like, I'm just wearing, like, if you would be wearing this shirt, it'd be the same, like,
Yeah, definitely.
Girl.
No, it's true. It's true that like the way your body is shaped also influence the way people are going to treat you and the way you're going to be slut shamed. If we see a skinny girl that has no boobs, no booty, and you know they matter, but if they were to wear super short shorts with a tank top or a crop top or just a bra in the street, they wouldn't be as hypersexualized as girls that have the same age but are just shaped differently
and are wearing the same exact clothes.
Same exact clothing. And I think it goes like that for most cultures, not necessarily just the Western world. In many cultures, we see that as an issue. Like, I can't speak for the Muslim community or for hijabis, but if you see a hijabi that's more skinny and that wears the same clothing, the same modest clothing than a curvy girl, the curves are going to show more for hijabi that has curves. And they're going to be shamed because they're going to be told, okay, you can't dress like that. That's not modest. But
it's
honey,
the same.
I'm covered.
Nothing is showing.
Nothing is showing, and I can't control the way that the body, the clothing fits on my body, and they are shamed. They are seen as less modest or less respectable and stuff like that. And I think that's something that we've been taught for a long time, even in Black communities. Since our bodies are shaped different too, I'm not the greatest example, but we are.
What do you mean, girl?
But I'm seen as like we're seen as being more curvy, having a bigger booty and stuff like that, and that comes up genetically young at a young age. And as a Black woman, I've seen a lot of sexualization of young girls the same way you have in the Black community and also in wider society. Being at school, the Black girls that were a little bit thicker at 8 were being seen as sexual beings already. And I think that plays into the principle, that the theory of adultification for Black girls. And it's a big issue because when you see there's this psychologist and associate professor at Texas A&M University. Her name is Jamila Blake. She made a study and a report in 2019. And in her report, she saw that Black girls were deemed as less innocent and as white girls, like,
oh my God.
In Black communities as well as in the wider society. And that image that we have of Black girls is automatically linked to the way that we treat them. In another report that she made earlier, she saw that Black girls' childhood was robbed because they saw Black girls as less nurturing, as needing less nurturing, actually, as needing less protection.
Yeah, and they can grow up faster.
Exactly.
Painkillers as well. I think there's a study of how Black women die a lot more while giving birth.
Yeah.
Because they're not taken as seriously.
Exactly. Yeah. Like, all the aspects of being a child, of being protected, as like a white girl would be nurtured, supported, comforted as a child. This is robbed for black girls all around the world, but especially in Western culture. And I personally have experienced it. I have had to grow older at a young age, not only because it's internalized in the community, but because that's how we're seen in society. I was always seen as the comforter for other girls of the same age. I was seen as the more mature one. I was seen as the one that knew more about things, even though I didn't, you know, and that led to me being the nurturer instead of the nurtured as a child.
And do you think that media has an impact on this too?
Definitely, definitely. I think the tropes that have been shared, like for years, like the sapphire and the Jezebel and the angry Black woman, and the mammy also, are all tropes that have led to people thinking that way about Black women, but also Black girls. And the consequences of that is that we're more, there's a disproportion, I don't know how to say it, but
disproportion.
Yes, in the rates of punitive treatments at school and juvenile justice system, and in sexual violence for Black girls and women. We are more likely to be victims of that. We're more likely to be punished at school than Black girls. And we're also more likely to be slut-shamed in our communities and outside of our communities, because there's this blanket idea that we are already grown, we're fast. And if you see like the R. Kelly situation, many of those young girls, those babies, were seen as fast, and were seen as, okay, but why did you get with a grown man? Like,
or why didn't your mom?
Why didn't your mom?
Why didn't your mom? What's wrong with your mom? Who didn't?
Exactly.
Your parents were not there to like.
Exactly. They were already seen as adult or seen as like not needing that protection, and they were shamed in the media. They were seen as fast, and that's something that is that is common in our community, but also outside, and we're not protected, and that's such a big issue because it becomes internalized, and as Black women, we start to say those very same things to other Black women, and we start to not be the protecting figures either. We start to be like, oh, I'm not like those fast girls, I'm not like those other girls, and that's problematic because when we're shamed, nobody protects us.
If you don't get the help from men, then you don't get the help from women either, then you're kind of stuck.
You're stuck
by yourself.
You're on your own.
Yeah, and I think there's a big difference between like being slut shamed by a woman and by a man.
Yes.
Like, I think my first experience with being sexualized was when I started growing boobs, because I think that's when like you were kind of, you know, you were a woman and you were kind of subject to being sexualized. So like I'm someone who had like my first period and who started like growing up really young. Like I was like 10 and 11 and I was already starting to get boobs and whatever, but I was still so young. But because I was like one of the few girls in my age group that had like a bigger chest, I started being like sexualized very young.
Yes.
Because I was like, all the other like girls around me were like, they were little girls, whereas like, oh my God, like she's the one with boobs. Like,
Definitely.
Didn't that make you feel like you were kind of grown to like you had to behave a certain way?
Oh my God, yeah.
I'm gonna say I had my first boyfriend when I was 11.
Okay.
Meaning that I had my first kiss, like make out, when I was 11.
Oh wow.
And I thought that I needed, like, I felt kind of pressured to have a boyfriend because it was this guy that this also comes with like self-confidence and stuff. Like I just didn't think that like anyone would like me because, you know, I don't know why, but I'm great. No, I mean like, it comes with self-confidence of like being also like a bigger girl. You like think like nobody's gonna want me.
Yeah.
And that mentality, I'll talk about it at a later date when you talk about your stuff, but that can have a very big impact on yourself. So I had my first makeout when I was 11, and it's because I felt like since I was grown, I had boobs, I had gotten my period, I thought that I was grown. So I was like,
Yeah.
I thought I was grown. I was like, yo, you know what? Like, you know, I'm going to be that girl, and I'm going to be like the girl that knows stuff and like, you know, the sexy girl. Like I don't know why.
That's crazy.
I've always, if you would have even asked me like maybe 6 years ago, 4, would you rather be beautiful or would you rather be sexy?
Yeah.
I would have been like, oh, I would rather be sexy all the way.
Wow.
Like, I'd rather be sexy all the way, you know? Like, I want to be desirable. I want to be, you know, seductive. But the thing is that sexy comes and goes with age, whether you like it or not. Like,
I think
your
it
looks
comes and goes with confidence too.
Yeah. And you're, like, you're never going to look the same. If we're putting sexy in like looks wise, looks wise, okay? Because I think sexy, you can have a sexy mentality, you can have a sexy attitude, but you know, when you say sexy, the first thing that comes to mind is just your body, the way that you look, the way that you carry yourself. But I think that being beautiful talks about your person, talks about who you are, and then you could have a beautiful way of carrying yourself. That is also sexy, you know? So, but I always felt like because I had boobs at such a young age, even so young, I had to start, you know, liking boys and kissing boys and, you know, having boyfriends and, you know, and I was 11. Like, I didn't know anything. I had my first kiss I didn't even know when I started kissing guys that you could kiss with your tongue.
How innocent she was. That's how innocent she was.
And I thought I knew everything. Like when I was kissing boys, like I thought I knew everything. I thought I was like,
you're just like this the whole time.
Like yeah.
Okay, tell me when it's over.
Yeah. And I was like, that's the best kiss of his life.
Amazing. I shake this world.
You know, I rocked this world. But I didn't. And then later on, when I went to high school, again, self-confidence, I started dating. I just think about this little ass guy. I'm so sorry if you ever watched. He's like this little ass guy.
Shout out to
you, man.
His name is Karim. Shout out to you.
Karim.
Shout out to you.
Exposing the man like that.
He was like so little, and like I don't even know why he liked me. And like we dated, and like we kissed, and he was like the first guy I ever kissed with tongue. Wow. But like I lied, and I said that like I'd done it before. Like I do it all the time. And we only dated for like 3 weeks because I was like, this guy is like such like no. And yeah, so like I felt like I had to be a certain way because of the way that I looked and the way that like I saw girls and women who looked like me, who had the same body as me, behave. Like,
That's
you know, like the spicy Latina, the sexy Latina. Like, I always thought that I had to be that, especially because I didn't grow up in my country. I came here, and I didn't want to lose
fit in
exactly,
too.
and I didn't want to lose my roots because I'm never gonna be Quebecois.
But also, I feel like here you would be more like fetishized.
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
100. And that I learned later on when I started dating for real.
Yeah.
When I started dating,
they would be like, "Oh, I've never dated
I've
a
never
girl
dated
from
a Latina. Oh
From
my
all sides
god,
too.
yeah, like you know, and but that I always wanted to fit in, like because I'm never gonna be like Quebecois, white, but I never wanted to. I never felt like I was Latina enough to like be Latina, and so I felt like I always had to act and be like the Latinas I saw on TV.
Overcompensated
Yeah.
to fit in. Yeah.
So that was never my personality. I feel like I got to know myself as a person maybe when I was like 19 or 20.
Wow.
Like super late in the
That's
game.
crazy. That's so insane because my experience of being like puberty and stuff like that and sexuality was quite different. I was raised in a very conservative home, Christian home. So when I got my period, my grandma, who's not really my grandma but raised me from my whole life, she came to my house and she was like, "We gotta sit down." And then
Oh God.
as soon as she knew I had my period, she said in Creole, "You can't have any male friend, and you can't kiss any boys, and you can't do this, and you can't do that." I was already policed from like with my sexuality as soon as I hit puberty.
Yeah.
And they were like, "Now you're a woman?"
Yeah. But maybe like you weren't even thinking of doing those things.
To be honest, I didn't even know what masturbation or those things were at that age because I was 10, right?
Or even sex, like
Or
how
even
sex works.
I didn't know how
Or
it
like
worked.
where does it go?
At all. Like I learned 2-3 years later.
Yeah.
But I didn't even know those concepts. So when she told me all of that, she already policed my sexuality in a way. And I didn't understand what she meant, but I already felt like my body, if it was defiled by a man, would be shameful, nothing, tarnished, like it had no value.
Yeah.
And shout out to her. I still love her because that's the culture she was raised in, and she did it out of love and out of care. But for a long time, I was afraid of like what I would do with my body because that's what I was raised to believe the value was in my virginity. I'm still a virgin today, guys, but
yeah, we love that.
you know, but now I have a different vision because I still see that if I lose my if I am not a virgin anymore and I just have like sex, I don't see that my body is gonna lose the value that it has. But it took me a while to get to that point because I still felt like I would be a slut for thinking sexual thoughts or liking men, like liking to like wanting to be in a relationship early and things like that. I already felt that shame of being a slut, of how much it was undesirable to be a sexual woman or sexual being as a woman at a young age. And that's something that I think a lot of people that have the same background as me have had and I've been conditioned to believe. And there's a lot of slut shaming in that space and of discomfort with our bodies at that moment. And when it comes time to, the big moment, it feels traumatic because you're like, damn, I defiled my body.
Yeah, because you're going into it thinking like I'm about to like lose value and I'm about to
be nothing.
Yeah.
And I'm about to be ashamed to my dad, my family and everything. But it changed, time changed and a lot of us don't think that way anymore, but a lot of us are still stuck with that trauma, that they thought that we will lose value if we defile ourselves.
Well, because you grew up to think like, well, once a guy gets what he wants, then he's not gonna want you anymore.
Yeah,
Which
he leaves.
you know, which is why a lot of, I'm gonna reference Sex in the City, for example.
Go ahead.
Samantha, she is the type of woman that she, in the first episode, they talk about having sex like a man. And they're like, what does that mean? And it says it means having sex with them and not calling them. Like, you making the choice of not calling them.
Yeah.
And if they don't call you, well, like, you didn't call them. So, like, it's whatever. But it's hard to get to that point. Even me, like, even I get butthurt still when, like, you know, I talk to a guy and it just doesn't work out. Like, he doesn't call me. And I'm like, well, was I not? And it's always like, was I not pretty enough? Was I not sexy enough? Was I not good enough? Was I too big? Was, like, did he not like me? But there's also that mentality of, like, well, you know, it was an experience. I learned something from it.
Yeah.
I got something out of it. It was a good time.
But also,
You could see it
both ways.
ways.
Yeah, but it's so toxic because we're being asked to be very sexual sometimes,
Yes.
and then on other times we're being asked to, like, if we are sexual, it's very, like, frowned upon.
Yes.
So,
Definitely.
like,
Yes.
it's so hard for us to kind of gauge because, you know, like, 1 minute a man will be like, oh my God, look at that girl, she's so hot, she's so sexy, whatever.
Like, lady in the
and
streets.
then you're gonna be like, hey, look at me, I'm sexy. And it's like, yeah, but, like,
You're forcing it.
no. Yeah.
lady in the streets, freaking the sheets.
Definitely.
Yeah,
type
and I
of
definitely
mentality.
like to relate to what you were saying. Like, virginity as, like, a concept is such a, like, constructed by society. Like, it's not a real thing.
Definitely.
Like, and I think it's interesting that the way that they phrased it was, you know, you lose your virginity. And it's not like you experience your virginity, or it's not like
experience, sexual experience.
It's very much like you lose your virginity, and it's like the fact that the verb that they chose was like lose. It's like it's already implying that, you know, you're
that's
losing
negative.
something.
That's
And I think when I was taught about, you know, like, losing my virginity and everything, it was very much like something important for the girls, but not so much for the boys.
Definitely.
Because there was this, and I still don't know if apparently it's just like, that's what I learned in, like, actual, like, school.
Yeah.
But I think that today they're starting to, like, let people know that it's actually not true. It was just a myth, literally. But that, like, you had, like, your hymen.
Yeah.
And your hymen is like a piece of tissue that kind of, that breaks during sex.
Yeah.
My mom still thought even a few years ago that if you wore a tampon, you were no longer a virgin.
My mom still believes that today.
Well, I had to explain it to her because she got so offended when I started wearing tampons.
Yeah,
She's
me
like,
too.
why are you wearing that? That means that you're no longer a virgin.
Yeah.
And my mom, I have a 13-year-old sister, and I think that the conversations she had with me and, like, the judgment she had towards me is no longer an issue with my sister because she has educated my mom has educated me on some things, and I have educated her on some things, like the tampon situation. I'm like, the virginity is the act. If it's the act of is not having had sex yet.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's what a virgin is.
Pretty much.
So I did not have sex with a condom. Girl, have sex with condoms.
Protect yourself, guys.
No, I did not have sex with a tampon. You know, like the
Yeah.
You know, it's just there, like, for, you know,
Reasons.
like period purposes. Like, so, and then I'd be like, I saw that it made sense in her mind, but everything that, like, was she learned was like debunked. She's like, I think she didn't even wear a tampon. My mom got married when she was 19, so my dad was her only boyfriend. And then she's like, I didn't even put on a tampon even, like, before marrying your dad. Like, that's how, you know. And she got married in 1992, like, you know, like,
but it's crazy to think that, like, you know, I was taught that in school. Like, I'm not old. Like, I'm 24. Like, and I was taught that in school. But, like, boys didn't have anything in their body that was changing after sex.
Exactly. And
it's like, how come my body changes after sex? It's like, and it's like removing value, but, like, it's the
gaining.
same.
Theirs is gaining value because they're like, oh, Well, I'm the man now.
Oh my God,
I had
please.
sex.
And that's insane because the hymen, I think the hymen, even if we attached it to virginity, most of the time it's not like the basic reason why it is present in our body or was present in our body was to protect the infant from any infection. As a baby, like
And I'm pretty sure if you do gymnastics, it's like it breaks or something.
Even if you do swimming, mine broke during an intense swimming workout.
Yeah. And you can lose it at any time.
How you know that?
Because
like you felt it?
because I didn't have my period, but I had I was in I think it was a competition, but I've been very regular my whole life, and I just had blood and I wasn't on my period, so I was like, what is this?
Yeah.
And then I told my mom, and then she's like, we went to the doctor, and the doctor was like, yeah, you broke your hymen. Like,
that's crazy.
Just going up the stairs, like up the ladder. Oh. Like I stretched my legs way too much. I stretched my legs way too much, and I just teared it.
That's how
You're
fragile
such
it
a
is.
slut. You're such a slut.
Such a whore. I'm sorry.
Exactly. No, it's like you can lose it anytime. So that simple thing, that simple assumption that we used to have is now debunked by science, just by biology. And I think there's no longer a place to say that we lose something because
I think one analogy that was very like traumatizing, at least to me, that like I was taught, and I think it's so wrong that it taught us that, but it's the lock and key analogy. I don't know if you guys heard of it.
Oh yeah.
But like
So
basically
stupid.
if you're a lock and like many keys have been able to like open your lock, then you're not as valuable as a lock anymore because there are so many keys that can open you. But if you're a lock and there's only one key that can open you, then you have much more value because you can lock, things and
but if you're a key that opens many locks,
then you have a lot of value. Exactly.
It's crazy.
I don't like it, but it's a very good metaphor. I'll use it with my sister.
Oh yeah, it is. It's a very good metaphor to sort of see how like society treats men and women and like sexual activity.
Yeah, how much is it? It's a double standard.
Yeah, and like just anything that has to do with body count. I remember like in high school, like body count and like not really high school, but more like college.
Yeah,
like body count was very important, and
you couldn't have more than 3.
Yeah, no, but if you were a guy,
you would always lie. If you would always lie. If it was more than 3, you'd always be like 2.
One.
Yeah.
No, you couldn't say 1 because maybe like if you had
2 would talk.
the 2 would talk, so then you'd be like
2.
But also 1 was not enough.
Yeah.
If you had like 2 or 3,
you were
it was
very
like
inexperienced.
Yeah, like okay, she's experienced, but like not too much.
Definitely.
Like it was like the right number.
If you went into double digits, you were a complete.
No, that's some heathen.
I think it's very weird. Like for me, specifically, like in high school, my last year of high school, at the beginning, basically, it was like the beginning of the school year, we had this very big show. I went to an art school, so there was this big like fashion show that we did at the beginning of the year, and every year we did it, and every year was like the senior year was like in charge of like putting on that fashion show, and it was very cool. Like all the cool kids partook in it. And
I actually kind of know what you're talking about, and I know people who participated in it. It was definitely the cool thing to do.
Right? Okay. Yes. So after that, like because we were in art school, we had a lot of shows and plays and concerts at our school, and every time after every play or concert, there was always like an after party. So that time there was an after party. I was like, I finally felt like I was with the cool kids. So I was like,
you need to fit in.
And I was like, I'm going to go to the after party. I'm going to have so much fun. And by then, like I had already started drinking. Like I started drinking in when I was 16. So that was kind of, but I was still like starting to drink. You know, I was not very experienced. I
It's
didn't know
Palm
my
Bay
limits.
situation.
Yeah, exactly. Palm Bays and like what's the other
For
one?
For loco, no, that's insane.
No, I never I never did that.
Was I the only one? Joelle looked at me like, okay, you were
that's
Wow,
not
she's the crazy one. The coolers, you know, they were like red.
they're so
coolers.
good.
Yeah, the coolers.
Oh,
just,
you were such a goodie goodie.
There's not even a lot of alcohol. Some of them don't even have alcohol.
I know, but my problem is that I was mixing. And I didn't know. Yeah, I was like, I didn't know you couldn't do that. Like, because in my head I was like, well, they're all here, so that means you can
might
get.
as well just
Yeah,
make
to me
a
it's like when you go to a buffet, you can get a little bit of
Oh,
everything.
mamita. Oh, no.
So anyway, that night I ended up taking tequila for the first time.
Oh, tequila makes me fight.
And
I swear.
it was the first time and last time I ever took tequila. Well, I've had drinks with tequila in it, but like it was the first time I
Not
actually
straight.
had like
Tequila shot?
straight tequila, like straight from the bottle.
Yeah.
It's like it was the last time I ever did that.
Maybe have some 818 and then you'd feel a lot better.
Oh my god, I should try. No. But yeah, I did that, and then there was this boy that I had been watching all night. You know, I had like
I got
my radar.
eyes on you.
Kind of. And so at one point, I was like very drunk, and everyone was sort of dancing in the living room, and like he was right in front of me, and I was like, this is my moment.
This looks like a movie.
Yeah. Keep going. With a bad ending.
Oh wow.
So I grabbed him and like I kissed him in front of everybody.
Wow, you
Yeah.
were bold.
Oh, you have balls, girl.
Yeah.
That's a baddie move.
Ballsy.
But then like more things happened. Like not in the living room, but like
Good.
in a secluded area. But like we got like caught by other people. So like you know how high school works, like
Yeah.
word goes around of like, and it's kind of like the telephone game where like as the word goes
Yeah.
around, the story changes.
Yeah.
So basically, I was very drunk. He was not as drunk as me. But I can't say like he took advantage of me because I was very much like pushing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But still, you know, he
Yeah.
should have known better and he should have just left me there. But whatever.
We were also like, 16, and he like kind of felt like maybe he wanted to. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. I
he
mean,
also.
We didn't.
Anyway.
We both didn't know better.
Yeah.
So like, but anyway, after that, I got labeled, you know, the slut.
The slut.
And what was really hurtful to me
crazy.
was that because I kind of expected it. Like the guy just kind of got, because he was like with the popular guys, right? So it didn't affect his reputation.
No.
He just went on, and if anything, he was
like
even
the player.
cooler.
Yeah.
And now, like all girls, like kind of like wanted him a little bit.
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah,
that's
like
insane.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then I was expecting that almost, which again is sad that like as a 16-year-old, I knew that he was going to get away with it and that I was going to get labeled the slut. And it's sad because I almost didn't care. But what really, really hurt me is that my friends, like my group of friends, stopped hanging out with me.
Wow.
Because I was now like not,
Labeled as a
yeah,
slut.
I was like, my social status went here. So they were like, yeah, no, we can't hang out with you anymore. Like we have to stay like here.
Wow.
And yeah,
Really?
it was, yeah. There was actually one of my friend who stuck with me, and shout out Marilou. I went to Disney with her. I'm still friends with her like today, and I went to Disney with her last year, and like we're still very good friends. And so yeah, but like all of my, like the rest of my group
Yeah.
of friends were kind of just like bye,
Yeah.
you know.
Crazy.
And I always thought like why? Because in my head I was always thought like, okay, you know, men are gonna shame you, men are gonna slut shame you. But now it was like my friends that I had been friends for like 3 years now were like just saying like bye and like
That's crazy.
just over like something that happened like one night.
yeah.
It blew my mind, and that was like my first time that I realized like, okay, yeah, like women can slut shame women too.
Yeah, 100%.
Oh yeah, and they do it hard. They're
Yeah,
aggressive
Do it
with
harder,
it.
Harder. Yeah.
harder. Because like I would never do that. You know, they'd
Yeah.
be like that.
Yeah.
I actually have a similar story to yours.
Yeah.
And this was with my first. I don't even want to say this because I don't want to give it credit, but it was the first guy that I ever loved, but I don't think I loved him. I just feel like I was in love.
Liked a lot.
I was in love with being in love. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
Like I didn't love
yeah.
him. I just
Yes.
loved. I didn't love him as a person. I just loved.
You love the idea of him.
Love the idea of being in love. So, but it didn't start as we didn't start off like dating. We actually started off one day after school. He was a football player. I was in the swim team, so we would stay. We would stay like later
So
for school.
cute.
Not really. And we stayed after school. This might be a little like froggy because it's been a while, but after school we went to this part of the school that's like a music area, and like they had like little individual rooms.
It's always those rooms.
Individual rooms, and we were just talking, and then he kissed me, and then we like made out a little bit, and then we left. That's all that happened. We made out in the music. That's it. That's it. We made out. Okay.
Nothing else.
Then on Monday when we got to school, I had told one of my supposed friends, and by lunch we had sex in the music room.
Wow.
Oh, yeah, of course.
So after that, he was kind of like a player type of guy, but I actually really liked him. But again, I don't think I liked. I just
You like the idea.
no.
You like the
it's-
idea
and
of
I'm not
him.
putting emphasis on this because of that. I'm putting emphasis on this because just to put it in your perspective, how low confidence I had in myself. Like, okay, well, like he likes me. Like he chose to be with me. You know, like the lack of I'm so stupid. The lack of value that I had in myself. Like, oh, but like if he doesn't want me, well, like he wants me. Like nobody wants me. Nobody will ever want me.
Yeah.
So then my friends were like, well, girl, like it's just probably like a makeout, like a makeout for him. Like it's not gonna, you know, that's just the type of guy he is. And when I tell you, and this is why I never push a guy to be with you if you know at your core that that's not what he wants. So I thought that like I could make him fall in love with me, right? So we would stay every single day. That was in March, and then we stayed all the way to the end of the school year. After school, and we would make out every single day.
Wow.
Because I thought that like,
That's how. you
and
would
since
keep
people
him.
knew that we were making out, it was like, well, technically he's like already mine, you know?
Yeah.
Toxic. I mean, I'm telling you, and I was honestly, I can't even put the blame on him because I was the perpetrator in all this. I was like, okay, well, he's kind of already mine, so like, you know. And after that, we started dating senior year. He broke up with me, and I kept hooking up with him.
Wow.
And I kept hooking up with him for 2 years.
Is it because you like the more you like would hook up with him, the more you think he'd like be in love with you?
He'd love me.
And
Yeah.
he'd like value you.
Yes,
yeah.
and even after breaking up, I'd like, well, if he wouldn't love me, if he didn't love me, or he didn't care about me, or he didn't want me, then why is he still coming back to hook up with me? Like, why does he still? And that doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
But it was really hard for me because then we went to college. We went to the same college, and I actually went to the same college on purpose. Like I was psychotic. Psychotic. I went to the same college with him. We kept hooking up until I was so like, and I just wanted my time to not be wasted. I wanted to prove everybody wrong. Like, you see, like, I didn't waste my time. Like, I'm not a slut.
Yeah.
Like, he loves me. Like, I'm not like those other girls
That's
that like,
crazy.
you know?
Yeah.
And even after we stopped talking, I remember I hooked up with one of his friends, and I was a whore.
Of
Because I
course.
remember
Yeah.
we hooked up with his friend, and
Wait, you guys hooked up with the friend? Or?
No.
Oh.
I know let's make it a group thing.
no, not really like a group person. But I hooked up with his friend. I know. Okay, like got it.
You did what you had to do.
But we were not together anymore. So like, if you want to put it really technical, I didn't owe anything.
Yeah.
But he texted me. He's like, "Oh, I want to talk about what happened." And he's like, "You humiliated me." Like, and we hadn't talked in like
Oh,
what, like
wow.
we hadn't talked in like 6 or 7 months. So like him reaching out to me, I was like, okay, it was worth it. Like it was worth it. Like at least we talked again and like.
Yeah, but I think it's interesting because I would like to know how he treated his friend.
Oh well, I don't really know much details, but they're friends today.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, of course.
They're still friends
Yeah.
today, and I haven't seen. I saw his friend. We talked it out. You know, he apologized to me. He was like, you know what? Like, I'm sorry. Like, I should have never. Because he kind of like put the blame on me. Like,
Yeah.
Well, she wanted to hook up with me.
Oh, so you were just
or like she was the one who was like irresistible.
Yeah, exactly. Or he'd be like, oh, you know how she is. You know how she is.
And that's so crazy because those, like, this is so common. And, like, when we see in our society, the way we victim blame women if they are raped, right? Or just this situation, right? You are made responsible for the act.
Yeah.
As if it was not an act that was made by two consensual
adults.
That's what I felt
grown people,
when it happened at my high school.
Exactly.
I felt like I had done something wrong.
Yeah, but
all the blame was on me.
Yeah.
But like he was just off living his life and and I was like, why is all the blame on me? And why do I have all this pressure and like all this weight?
You got caught up in the moment.
Yeah.
With the temptress, you know. It's crazy.
And I feel like after his friend, we kind of never spoke about it again. But that really, because I lost all my friends after that. Like, nobody wanted to talk to me. Everybody thought that I was psycho crazy and I was obsessed with this guy. And I think I was obsessed with the idea of not wanting my time to be wasted and not wanting to be labeled a slut.
That's how hard it is for women.
I can definitely relate to that because I think that it's in the movies. Okay, again, media. We always have this story of like two people like hooking up or like just being like sex friends or whatever.
Like friends with benefits.
Yeah, but then like at the end, the guys falls for the girl.
Falls for the girl.
All the time. Yeah. So like I think like in my mind, I was always thinking like, okay, yeah, like we're just hooking up, but like, you know, eventually like he'll fall in love with me because he can't resist me, right? But no, it's not how it works in real life.
But that situation, after all that trauma, I had to go to therapy, by the way.
Oh my God.
I'm such a big advocate for therapy because I felt like it actually helped me resolve a lot of my internal issues, including a lot of the issues that I had with my self-confidence, which is what brought me there in the first place.
Issue.
And that situation of like hooking up has actually made me a little like cold-hearted in the sense that like I don't catch feelings at all. And I'm very like I communicate a lot. Like if I'm talking with a guy or like hooking up or whatever, I'm like, okay, well, like if it's a one-time thing, it's like this is a one-time thing. Or like, you know, I always keep the receipts. I always because I never want to put in a situation where I'm like, oh well, like you know how she is.
Yeah.
No. Like let's put like our cards on the table. Like let's do like
crazy. A sheet of rules and like
it might be stupid, but like I'm very like adamant about that and like I don't. If we're just hooking up, if we're friends with benefits, I'm not texting you. I'm not calling you. I'm not. We're not talking. After,
I should do that. I should set boundaries. No, for myself.
We're not talking after. Like, yeah, we had a good time. Okay, well,
yeah,
you can leave now.
Yeah, that's crazy. Like, I mean, that's great. That's great. We need to set boundaries.
It's a boundary, yeah.
The fact that you had to, like, now you feel this need to have receipts to not be like how she is, that shows how scary it is for us to be deemed as sluts or to be seen as promiscuous, and how much we're gonna have to make that effort to be seen as prude, like not prude, but as a pure innocent,
lady, like a lady,
ladylike,
like a lady,
ladylike. It's so weird, and like I didn't necessarily have that pressure because I was always seen as a prude in a sense, just because of the fact that like I wasn't interested in having sex and stuff like that, and am not really active. Like, I'm not active, but, you know, it's not something that I'm seeking actively. But I felt there's a point where being seen as a prude kind of became one of my, like, part of my identity. And I was scared that if I would do any action that would like be different from that, I would be deemed as a slut. And I'm still, like, not even being, like, active, I'm still scared. Like, I'm not now, not anymore, I don't care. But it took me a while, and that would, like, stop me from going to some places. I wouldn't go to parties. I wouldn't go to any.
That's where the bad stuff happens.
That's where you know.
Wouldn't you? I'm sorry to cut you off,
No,
but
go
wouldn't
ahead.
you be, like, also one being afraid of being labeled as a slut, but also be afraid of being labeled as boring? I was like the girl that's, like, boring.
Yeah, I'm interested to know that as well.
I overcompensated in other aspects because being seen as a prude would mean that you're boring, like you said. So I was really active in so many things, and very expressive. I'm very outgoing as a person. I'm a very fun person to be around.
Like an extrovert.
Yeah, so I had to be, like, that extra person that is still fun to be around. I think it's still a good thing because that's how I am, and it fit well with me. But someone who wouldn't be comfortable with being outgoing and always taking part in the student council and stuff like that, or, like, just be involved everywhere, just want to chill, you know. I just want to be on my own. There is this label that they can't even detach themselves from. I kind of, like, overcame the prude idea of myself, like, with other activities, and I was more seen as she's too busy to she's too busy to be distracted. But like, that's not a pride, it's just I was busy, you know. But I felt like I had to overcompensate so people would still see me as entertaining, because whether we want it or not, being sexually active is kind of not the cool thing, but it's still something that's normalized, and it's cool, and it's fine. And that I didn't feel like I fit in. So, you know, I found other ways to feel like I still was a part of normal young woman's development. So I would go into adult topics, but not necessarily sexual ones, but, like, just really
mature.
Really mature, just so people wouldn't think I'm a child. I'm still, like, this little prude thing who doesn't know anything, you know. But it didn't affect me that much. But I know that other people who didn't necessarily want to be as involved and just wanted peace probably felt a different way. I guess
It's one of those things that I think that I think there's two ways of seeing this type of situation. Either you are labeled as a slut, because I remember this girl, she also went to my high school, and she was labeled a quote unquote slut, because the same thing was kind of happening as my story in high school with her, but she never got the guy to commit to her. They never dated. So, but then she'd be like, she would always have this attitude of, like, yeah, we're sleeping together, but I know deep down, like, he loves me. And she was, like, overly confident, and then even if she were to see him, if we would go to a party and she would see him talking to another girl, she'd be like, I know that. This is so stupid talking about it, but she'd be like, I know that when we're gonna leave this party at, like, 1:30 in the morning, his taxi's gonna go to my house.
Oh my god, I feel kind of attacked right now.
Wow.
And it's one of those things that, like, I honestly, attitude wise, I always wanted to be like that. Like, not doubt my confidence, not doubt what I had, and be like, but you can do whatever you want.
The thing is,
like,
you get it wrong.
You get it wrong.
At least for me, I was always like, you know, let's say, like, I was sleeping around with a guy, like, first of all, like, when, let's say, we were sleeping around, like, it was exclusive for me, you know. I was thinking, like, it was just between us, right? One time, like, I learned that a guy I was sleeping around with was also sleeping around with another girl while we were sleeping together. I was, like, almost, like, oh my God, like you cheated on me. But like,
But
no.
then you couldn't feel butthurt.
No,
you
it's like,
couldn't feel but like
no.
we're not together. So like you have to
Yeah.
pretend to be cool and be like,
I had to be like, yeah, of course it's cool. Like,
like I'm sleeping around too.
exactly.
That's
Like,
okay,
I have
like-
many other hookups, but
Many,
many other.
We should
But
start
not too much because I'm not a slut.
We should start wearing like double condoms just in case, and just so, just like want to protect you.
Yeah. No, but it's like I was always wrong because I always thought that even if it was just casual, I was very like overprotective of the person I was with because I would always like, no, for me at least, like no matter what, if I'm dating you or if it's casual,
You're invested.
I'm invested, yeah, but also it's like I went to you because there's some attachment. I'm not that type of person who's gonna have one night stands. I don't like the idea of having a one night stand because I don't feel like if I just need like quick pleasure, like let's go, masturbation is the key, But like if I'm seeking something, like, and if I'm going like and sleeping around with you, it's not just I'm looking for more than just a hookup and just like the orgasm because I can get that
It's
somewhere
intimacy
else.
in a
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah.
And it's like the cuddling and like just having some relation with someone. But it's like I have to realize that not everyone is like that.
And that's how you catch feelings. And like
Yes.
maybe somebody who doesn't like me, who I personally try my best to not catch feelings, like the cuddling and the talking, like I don't want to get to know you. I just I
But
don't
I can't do that.
like I don't want
I
to get to
can't.
know you. Like I don't like, and not because like it could not be a one night stand. It could be a multiple year thing. But I don't wanna get to know you. I don't wanna because that's when feelings get involved, and that's when messiness gets involved, and I don't ever want to doubt myself if I'm like,
girl, teach me.
I don't want to.
I need to set boundaries. I need to set boundaries.
Because I never want to I don't ever want to doubt myself.
Yeah.
In if what we were doing, you were also doing with somebody else.
Yeah.
Because I need to, like, you're overprotective of the person you're with. I'm overprotective of my feelings, and I don't want you to play with my feelings or my emotions. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I would much rather. This is so toxic, but I would much rather
Have that barrier.
have him be like, hey, I want us to be exclusive. I want to date you, because then he's putting his feelings on the table first, and then I can feel a lot better about putting my feelings on the table.
Oh
And
my
then
God, I'm
we
the
can
same.
discuss.
If I have a crush on a guy, he will never know until like if he comes to me, then of course like I like you too. But like if he doesn't come to me, he might never know.
You can kind of let them know without really
Yeah,
letting
there
them
are
know.
ways.
Yeah, but
can let really
I'm not
let them
like I will never open up and say like openly to a guy that like, hey, I like you, like.
Yeah, it's nerve-wracking.
Yeah. No.
But it's not very feminist of us.
I know, right? I feel like I'm.
We're just exposing our toxic behavior.
I feel like I'm not the right person to invite on this topic, because that's
No.
not very feminist of me. But I think it's just a way of like protecting yourself and like protecting your aura.
Yeah.
And I don't ever want to feel like there's bad energy. Not even. I feel like doubt brings me bad energy, and like self-doubt and like fear. That's fear. It's fear brings me bad energy and brings me a vibe that I never want to feel again. I don't want to feel like I'm not good enough. I don't. And it's, I believe in auras, and I feel like if that is affected, I feel like every other aspect in my life will be affected by it. My job, my friendships.
Yeah.
If I'm not in it, if I feel like I'm not enough, then it's game over. So I just, yeah.
I think this is it's a valid way of seeing it. And Joelle, you said that you have a different perspective, not perspective, but different experience when it comes to casual dating. And I don't think one is better than the other, since whether we want it or not, for some people sex is also linked with intimacy and linked with a personal connection to the person. Even though it's not romantic, it's still a connection, and for you it works, and it's perfect, but it doesn't make the need for connections while having sex less valid.
Yeah.
And I think the how can I say that the challenge that comes with that type is more of
Attachment.
that attachment, but also that secureness in yourself. And still being like, I would like to get attached, and like that comes, it
Being
just
vulnerable.
happens. Being vulnerable happens, and it's okay because it's human, right? And it's okay to eventually get feelings if you
Catch me.
if you catch
If you feel like, you know, you've cuddled and you've talked and you're like, damn, like this guy's, you can catch, you know, there's nothing wrong with it.
There's nothing
Yeah.
wrong with it, and I don't think people should be shamed for it. But the challenge for you comes when, okay, would I be okay with them not wanting the same? And like that's where the challenge comes. We have to personally
know yourself.
Yeah, you have to personally be secure with being like, okay, even if I throw my feelings on the table for them because of for my own good, just because I need to say it, will I be able to deal with the rejection if it comes?
That's why I never like out myself like that.
Exactly.
But it's also
about
because
rejection.
I don't think anyone else is like, well, that's like a big generalization, but like I'm looking for something very specific. At least right now in my life, I'm not looking to date anyone. Like I'm not actively looking to date anyone because I already have so much stuff on my hands. Like I don't have time, and I don't want to. Like I don't want a relationship. I think
Because
personally,
you can't give that person.
I think right now in my life it's just I don't want that, but I want to, like, I still want to be able to like have sex and have like very like intimate conversations and stuff, but I don't want to hang out with you outside of that. Like I don't want to go apple picking with you. I don't want to meet your family. I don't care about like meeting your family. And
That's the thing, because again, I've only had 2 boyfriends. And my second boyfriend, he was like that. He, at the beginning, he was like, he wanted all of the benefits of being my boyfriend, including meeting his family, being that girl that he could bring home, helping him out, but he didn't want to call me his girlfriend.
yeah.
And so then what are we doing?
Yeah, what are we?
Because
That question, what are we?
no, I didn't ask the question, but I was like, so, because, okay, this is a very humiliating story, but I was on a call with, I think a potential job thing, whatever, and he was like, oh, where are you? Because I was in a different background. I was like, oh, I'm at my boyfriend's house. And then when the call finished, he's like, I'm not your boyfriend.
Oh,
Okay.
And I'm like,
rude.
I hate to break it to you, but
so then I was like, well, then I'm a little confused then.
Yeah.
Like, why am I here?
what am I doing here?
Like, why am I here? And then he's like, well, we're just having, and we had been dating for like 6 months now. Okay.
Man.
And this is funny. Like, this is
Confusion.
funny now, but then he's like, well, I don't want to commit. Like, I don't know why you would think.
Bruh.
I don't know why you would think that we were together. And I was like,
quacks like a duck.
and I was like, well, you know, I had drank wine with his mom. Like, his mom had brought me stuff back from Italy.
Bam.
Like,
Yeah, that's
like his mom knew me. Like, I would like spend the night over there. Like, a bunch of like stuff that you do with your significant other. He'd just be like, well, then it's like, that doesn't really mean that you're my girlfriend.
Oh no. Okay, so what?
Yeah, it's almost like
it's a wrap.
What does?
We're out.
It's almost like he wanted to be like, you're my girlfriend when I say you're my girlfriend.
You're my girlfriend when it's
Yeah.
convenient to me, when
Yeah.
I need a girlfriend.
Definitely.
And that was the biggest side of rejection I have ever felt in my entire life.
That's insane.
I have never felt so used and so manipulated and so confused. It's like, I was just like, what?
That's insane.
And, you know, and again, I don't think I loved him, but I'm a deep down, I'm a hopeless romantic, and I love and
Deep.
my favorite holiday is Valentine's Day. I love all that stuff. I think it's really cute, and I would eventually like to fall in love with someone.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever been in love, because I think being in love is loving somebody for who they are to the core, even, you know, the ugly, the good, the bad. Obviously, the ugly has a lot of like don't date a wife beater, you know. But
oh my God, no, please.
But some women would be like, well, I love him because, you know, the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
You know?
Okay, yeah.
No,
I get what you mean.
Okay.
but I think that I have found things that I didn't love about the people that I've been with, and I've realized that later on that I didn't love them. So
Oh my God, same. That happened to me recently. Like, I was thinking about my ex, and I was like, why? Like, why was I with him? Like,
Did I really love her?
yeah, like, I mean, I would tell him I love him,
Yeah.
but then thinking back, I was like, no, like, no, honey, no.
like, no, like, because you don't really know. I feel like now I also think, to me, like, my maturity, I think that you need to reach a certain level of maturity to actually know what saying I love you really means. And, you know, what it is. So I don't think I've ever been in a relationship where I was mature enough where I could be like, yo, like, I love you. That's so that's so gangster. Yo, I love you.
Yeah.
Super hopeless,
Super
romantic.
hopeless romantic of
Yo,
me.
I love you.
Yo. Check this out.
Yo.
That's crazy.
But yeah, so all that to say
Yeah.
that if it quacks like a duck,
Yeah. If you're in a relationship right now, you might not be.
if you're in a relationship, please make sure. You know, just
double
ask.
check.
Just ask.
Clarify.
Yeah.
Just be like, what am I to you? And then he'd be like, you're my girlfriend. And you'd be like, okay, I just want to make sure.
Yeah. Imagine like married couple for like 5 years. Like, oh, what are we?
That would be, honestly, until the day before my wedding, I'd just be like, so we're still good for tomorrow, right?
Yeah,
we're still good for 1 p.m.
Are you sure?
Okay, good.
Perfect.
Oh
Do you
my
have the
God.
Uber? Okay, good.
That would be me too. Because the number of times like I would have like a date scheduled, and then like last minute he'd be like, you know what? It's canceled. It's like, okay.
Be like, you're canceled.
Yeah.
You better believe that you did not make me shave my legs and put on contour, and you're not gonna show
Oh my
up.
God, you have no idea.
Hell no.
So when, because I'm not very experienced in dating, but when we think about those situations where it wasn't clear
If it quacks like a duck.
if it quacked like a duck, or you know, like in those situations, were there moments where you like actually really not sure, and then in those moments where you weren't sure about the situation, and you were a little bit too far gone
Yeah.
to leave,
You were also
there-
afraid of the answer.
was
And,
it
or like you're too far off where you think like, oh, like it's too far off where like I shouldn't ask what we are because
Yeah.
he probably already has an idea, and he probably thinks I also have an idea, but what if I
Yeah.
don't?
Yeah. So
Double check.
Yeah.
let me just double let me see.
Yeah.
So when you were like checking those things, like I don't know, maybe not now because it's more about the feelings now, and there's not necessarily that big shame of being labeled as a slut, but like when you're younger and in high school and you want to date people and stuff like that, was there that fear that if you like you heard the words of rejections or
Yeah.
the words of nah, we ain't cool like that, like you fear that to be seen in the different light by other people around, like
Yeah.
Cat, she got played.
It actually happened to me a lot. Girl, I'm exposing myself so hard.
Come on.
It happened to me quite a lot.
Poor
because-
Daniela.
Yo,
And here I am.
I would have loved you unconditionally.
honestly.
No, but it happened to me quite a lot, and it was always like, again, because I was a hopeless romantic, because I wanted love, I would always kind of put myself out there, and they'd be like, nah, fam, you're not it. And then I'd just be like, you know, a little humiliated for like a week and a half, and then I'd just like get over it. Like,
Yeah.
maybe it's just because it's a little, now seeing it as an adult, I would much rather I liked my attitude a lot more then, because I'd just be like, well, whatever, like move on to the next, than be after the same guy for like 4 years and being played like that. That hurts a lot more on your ego, even if it's the same guy and you never heard. I never heard the words of rejection from him.
Yeah.
But I felt a lot more rejected then, because I felt like I had invested my time with nothing to show for it. So, you know,
I think one of the worst forms of rejection is ghosting. Like, I guess
just send me a message, man.
I'm gonna out myself here, but
I
like,
feel a little outed.
I was when I was with this guy. Like, we were never a thing officially, but it was casual. And at one point, we just stopped. And in my head, I was like, okay, but like, we're still friends. Because in my head, I was like, we were friends before. That's how like we got there. So like in my head, we're still friends. But like you would, like once we're done like hooking up, now it's like, okay, no, I don't talk to you anymore. Like I don't answer your texts. To me, that really hurt me, because I was always thinking of this person like first as a friend and then as a hookup. Whereas they saw me as like a body, and then like, okay, if I'm having a bad night, I can talk to her about my problems and she'll listen. But other than that, like if I don't feel like they clearly didn't like think that I deserve the respect of at least an answer of like, hey, I don't want to be friends with you anymore. But like, no, like they didn't see that. And that's where like me, like I saw like, okay, like I'm much more of like a body before being like a friend.
That's what boundaries are for.
I know.
Definitely.
I'm telling you, girl, you should teach me.
Boundaries. You don't talk about your problems. I don't care about your problems.
Should make boundaries ASMR.
Boundaries.
Okay. But again, I think that's how like I get there. It's because at the beginning, if I would like,
but it's not
flirt
a bad
with
thing.
a guy,
I feel like you feel judged by me. I'm not judging you. I wish.
I know.
I wish
he's
I
not judging
could.
me.
I wish I could be as easily
Attached.
No.
Okay.
No. Like as easily like
Manipulated.
No.
Let me finish. No, I wish I could be like as open to, you know,
The risk.
being that, and being that person for the my significant other, even if we're not together. Like I wish I could be that person, and that's a really amazing quality to have. It's just you haven't found the guy that would
care
actually
too much.
Yeah, but that's a good thing. That's a good thing,
It's
because then
important to care.
if you're ever gonna, because if you ever meet when you meet the right person, that's gonna be a huge asset.
Yeah,
like
you'll
that's
be
gonna
able
be
to
great.
open. Yeah.
Wow, this feels like therapy.
Podcasts usually feel that way.
That's the talking. That's the talking.
No, but I feel like the reason why I get there is because like when I'm flirting with a guy, I'm such a tease, okay? Like I will be, and I know like some people hate that, but I will be that person who's gonna be like, here's what you could have, but I'm not gonna give it to you, you know, because I know that
Some guys actually really like that.
I know, but I like being a chase. Like I like guys to chase me because I feel like that's the
Is that how you
the
feel?
period in like the relationship that they're gonna value you the most, because it's like
Because they haven't
know.
gotten it yet.
it's very toxic.
That's problematic.
They haven't gotten it yet. So you're like,
and it's like they love something that they can't have, but once they've had you, it's like, and I'm not just saying that, I've experienced that. Like I've seriously experienced that, where like I feel like I'm so much more valued when I didn't do anything with the guy, and they're always talking to me, they're always texting me, and then once like it happened, like once, it's like I would text them and then silence.
I would always joke about it though. I always joke about it, even like just so that my feelings are not as hurt. If I really really like a guy, I'd just be like, I know you're probably not gonna text me in the morning, so whatever. Just jokingly,
But low key,
like it hurts deep down. But low key like. Well, if you don't text me, I already know that you're an asshole.
So, is that thought, because I think that's something that's very common in society, like that thought that you're gonna be not desired anymore if you're not the chased anymore. Once you're getting like t'es pris, genre une fois qu'on t'a déjà expérimenté. Is that something that you had like in your mind because of what you saw around, or like it's really by the experience, like it solidified itself with experience?
Yeah, definitely. Like I kind of had that ingrained in my brain, which again is very sad, but like I got that ingrained in my brain as like a young girl being hypersexualized and being like kind of seen the way like men would see me. I always felt like it was like that. But again, you're always thinking like, no, I'm the main character of my movie, so that's not gonna happen to me,
Not gonna
right?
happen, guys.
And then reality hits in college, and you realize
I am that girl.
Yeah, I am that girl. And so it intensified with experience, because
Wow.
I've experienced it like myself firsthand, like being ghosted by guys after like almost like giving myself to them, and then you're like, okay, now I'm gonna close off. And now it's like, no, like you will not have me. So now it's like, that's why I want to be like, I want guys to chase me even longer, because it's like, oh no. And then you open to them and they're like, oh, like, why are you so close? Like, whatever. It's like, well, you know, like a guy has like played with my feelings before. I'm not that guy,
that type
blah,
of guy,
blah.
man.
And then what happens? The exact same scenario.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, so I opened myself up to you and I told you that I've been played before, and you're still like, you're playing me right now?
Yeah.
Like, are you serious? No, I can't deal with that anymore.
That's crazy. I mean, not only is it a reaction out of like survival in a sense, and like because of the trauma,
Yeah.
I won't call it that, but you know, because of that, if I feel like it exacerbates the already toxic perception of your worthiness that society like put on us as women. It's crazy because it attacks you in your most intimate moments.
Yeah.
That's how crazy this whole slut shaming thing is. And I think it comes with how we're going to be representing sexual liberation for women, not only in the media, but in the way that in our conversations, in our speech. And also, like we all said, those experiences are things that happen in primary school and high school. We need to change those narrative. And I think one solution that should take place, not only personally make personal change, but you know, those schools that allow these environments to take to take place and to be spread out on young women. We should have like them teachers should be like holding their students accountable when they hear those things.
Because teachers are a lot more aware of the gossip.
Yeah.
They are.
They're a lot more aware of the gossip. They just don't want to get involved. And just, you know, even with my sister, she's like, oh yeah, like this girl has she's at that age where like, she's like, oh, this girl has a boyfriend, and like and then she told me there's this girl that like has had like 3 boyfriends. And without schooling her on it, I'm like, what do you think about it? And then she's like, well, you know, it's her choice, like whatever, you know, I just don't want her to get her heart broken. But at least her mind is not going to like, well, she's such a whore.
Yeah, that's
you
good.
know, like, and
That's positive. That's good.
I hope that, you know, that's never going to be the case. But, you know, when you were talking about, you know, media and changing the narrative, I always think about it because, like I mentioned at the beginning, being Latina, you always are like the spicy Latina, the sexy Latina, and we see it a lot with our music, reggaeton, and
my God,
and the music videos and what they talk about. Honestly, I'm a lot more ashamed to listen to some like J Balvin or like Bad Bunny in the car with my parents than I am listening to like a rap song or like whatever, because they are so intense that you're like, oh my, you're like, oh my God, you're like, Jesus.
Yeah.
So you never, and that's just the culture. That's just where that's
the culture.
people who listen to that music
Find it
who
normal.
who are either Latinos or who are not Latino, but know what the words mean, and you're singing, like as a girl, you're just singing along because it's a good song. Then they're like, oh well, like, you know, you're the spicy Latina, you're the sexy Latina. Where like
It plays
you're
into
all talking,
minds.
you're all talking no game.
Yeah.
You hear that a lot when you're like a tease, or like maybe you don't really want to, you know, you found out that guy was kind of an asshole and you don't want him.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, you're all talking no play.
Oh wow. So they want you to
they
play into
want you
that
to play into it.
narrative.
They want you to be, that, oh yeah, papi, like sexy Latina type of shit, and like,
Yeah.
give me a break.
And then again, you said it's in the
Yeah,
culture. So,
yeah.
like, it's like, where do we go from there? Because some people would be like, oh, yeah, it's in our culture. Like, we can't change it. And it's like,
you can't.
no,
And
like, there are things we could do.
There
Like,
are. And
know.
it starts at a young age, I think.
Yeah.
it starts at a young age, and it starts with even the artists themselves. Like, I know
Yes.
Bad Bunny, I ride hard for Bad Bunny because he actually put out a song about slut shaming and about, women can be independent, like they don't need you, and it's one of those things that, like, he was the first artist to ever do that. And it was like a reggaeton, like hard bob. There's a music video on it. He like dressed like he put on fake boobs and stuff.
I remember that one. Yeah.
It was a big thing, and like he put a message. He put a message at the end that says, "If she says no, it means no."
love that.
That was the first time I've ever seen in reggaeton.
Yeah, and that's powerful because of the views and the fact that, especially in music is so strong and so powerful, and so when repetition allows for a message to come and solidify itself. So if we repeat negative message about the way, like, how women, sexually liberated women, or just women who have sex, are in a negative life, we can do the same with music in a positive light. And that's a great example. And I think that we should hold every creative, every musician, every person that is a part of the culture accountable to repeat those positive perception, or just normalize leaving people alone, man.
Like, if I say no, it's like, I'm not all talk and no play.
That's
I just don't want you. And even, I don't know if it's ever happened to any of you, but you're talking to a guy and then he's like, oh, you're all talk or no play, or like, then you're like, oh, well, you're such a slut.
Yeah.
Like, we came all the way here.
Yeah.
You're such a tease. You're such a slut.
Yeah, especially in catcalling too.
Yeah.
Yeah, and all of culture needs to be revamped.
Yeah. And it's like, you could have like a week long, like, hell no, like a month long conversation, sexting, whatever. If at the act, I changed my mind.
Yeah, now
There's no like, okay, but we texted and like you said this the other day and you said that the other day, and it's like, no, like it shouldn't have like any, it shouldn't have any play into this, like how long I've talked to you, or how like,
yeah. But I think we're like, with the way the media is moving now, especially with younger voices and more diverse voices, we are seeing that change, thankfully.
Yeah, I'm hopeful. The next generation, honestly, your sister.
Yeah.
My sister's hella woke, honestly.
Yeah. No, that's good.
She'd be a good
I'm
guest.
really impressed with the younger generation, and I feel like we're moving in the right direction.
Definitely.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah.
Anything else you guys want to say?
No, I think I'm all talked out.
Yeah. Just as a reminder for everyone, if you are in a relationship,
Check twice. Double check.
twice.
Double check. Just ask.
Because you might,
quacks.
if
It quacks.
If it quacks like a duck.
So don't forget to go follow That Feminist Podcast on Instagram to get more news for the other episodes.
Yeah.
And we'll see you guys in the next one.
All right. Bye.
Bye.